My wife cheated on me and tried to take all my money in the divorce, but she had no idea my money was in my mom's bank account. Hey Reddit. This is a crazy story that's been weighing on me for a while. Honestly, I'm still processing everything. But looking back, it's almost hard to believe it all happened. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you thought you knew, then you'll understand what I went through. Here's how my wife cheated on me, tried to take all my money in the divorce, and completely failed because of one small detail she didn't know. I met my ex-wife, Jessica, about 5 years ago. Back then, I was 32, working as a software engineer and living comfortably. I wasn't rich or anything, but I had a decent house, a solid savings account, and no debt. I thought I was in a good spot in life, so I figured it was time to settle down. We met through mutual friends at a party. Jessica was 28, beautiful, and full of energy. She had a smile that could light up the room and a way of making you feel special. From the moment we started talking, I felt a connection. She was funny, smart, and seemed genuinely interested in me. It didn't take long for us to start dating seriously, and everything felt like it was falling into place. Looking back now, I see the red flags. Jessica was always obsessed with money and luxury. She loved talking about designer clothes, high-end vacations, and her dream of owning a huge house. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Everyone has dreams, right? And if I could make her happy by treating her to nice things here and there, what was the harm? I brushed it off because I was happy, and I believed she loved me. After about a year and a half of dating, I proposed. She said yes immediately, and before I knew it, we were planning a huge wedding. Jessica wanted the works, a fancy venue, a designer dress, and a massive guest list. I wasn't thrilled about how much it was all going to cost, but she convinced me by saying, "It's our special day, and we'll only get to do this once." I wanted her to have her dream wedding, so I went along with it. The wedding was beautiful, but looking back, it was ridiculously over the top. There were over 200 guests, most of whom I didn't even know, friends of hers, distant relatives I'd never met. But she seemed happy, and at the time, that was all that mattered to me. Things started to change after the honeymoon. Jessica quit her job a few months into our marriage, saying she needed time to figure out what she wanted to do next. I didn't mind at first because I was making enough money to support us both. I figured it was temporary, and she'd eventually go back to work. But as the months went by, she didn't even try to look for a job. Instead, she spent more and more money, shopping sprees, spa days, dining out at expensive restaurants. Every time I brought it up, she'd brush me off, telling me not to worry and that we could afford it. We started arguing more frequently. It felt like she was always spending, never contributing, and had no interest in building a future together. I was working hard, saving money, trying to plan for the future, but Jessica seemed only focused on living in the moment and on my dime. Still, I convinced myself it was just a phase and that we'd get through it. Then came the night I found out she was cheating on me. She had been acting distant for a while, going out late with friends and staying glued to her phone. One night, I came home from work early, and she was on the couch, laughing on the phone with someone. She didn't see me at first, but I overheard her saying, "I miss you too, baby. I can't wait to see you this weekend." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. When she saw me standing there, her face went pale. I confronted her right then and there. She denied it at first, saying I was being paranoid. But after I pressed her, she admitted she had been seeing someone else. She tried to downplay it, saying it was just an emotional affair and nothing physical, but it didn't matter to me. Cheating is cheating, and she had betrayed my trust. The worst part was how little she seemed to care. I was devastated, but Jessica acted like it was no big deal. Over the next few weeks, she became even more distant, and eventually, she told me she wanted a divorce. She wasn't sad or upset about it, just cold. She said she wasn't happy anymore and that it was time to move on. I couldn't believe it. After everything I had done for her, she was walking away without a second thought. We started the divorce process, and that's when things got really ugly. Jessica hired an aggressive lawyer and went after everything. Half of the house, half of my savings, even part of my retirement fund. She demanded way more than she was entitled to, and it was clear that all she cared about was the money. She wasn't interested in trying to work things out or make the divorce fair. She wanted to take as much as she could and leave me with nothing. But here's the thing. What Jessica didn't know was that most of my money wasn't even in my own bank account. Before we got married, my mom had given me some advice that ended up saving me. She had seen how quickly Jessica fell for me, and while she never said anything directly, I think she had her doubts about Jessica's intentions. My mom suggested that I keep the bulk of my savings in her account, just in case something went wrong. At the time, I thought it was unnecessary, but I trusted my mom, so I agreed. When Jessica and her lawyer tried to go after my savings, they were in for a rude awakening. The majority of my money was in my mom's account, not mine. Legally, there was nothing they could do to touch that money. They tried to argue that I was hiding assets, but everything was above board. The money wasn't hidden, it just wasn't in my name. When Jessica found out she wasn't going to get her hands on my savings, she was furious. She tried to guilt-trip me, saying I was cheating her out of what she deserved, but I wasn't falling for it. I had supported her for years, paid for her lifestyle, and now she was trying to take everything. She was the one who cheated, and she was the one who wanted out. I wasn't about to let her walk away with everything I had worked for. In the end, she got very little from the divorce. She took some furniture, her personal belongings, and a small amount of cash from my checking account, but that was it. She didn't get the house or my savings. I kept the house and most of my money, thanks to my mom's advice. After the divorce was finalized, I cut all contact with Jessica. She moved out, and as far as I know, she's living in an apartment somewhere, probably still trying to find her next target. It took me a while to get over everything, but I'm in a much better place now. I'm focusing on myself, rebuilding my life, and learning from the mistakes I made. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's to always trust your gut, and maybe listen to your mom too. Story 2. My M26 girlfriend, F22, had sex with the male friends she told me not to worry about. Now she's begging me not to break up with her. How do I navigate this? TL, Dar. I've been planning to propose to my girlfriend of 4 years. We haven't had sex since she wanted to save it for marriage. She went to a birthday party with some online friends from a Discord gaming server. 4 of them went back to her apartment after the party was over and had sex with her. She's begging me not to dump her over this. Is there anything left to save here at all? Or do I just dump her? My girlfriend, we'll call her Katie, and I met in college and have been together for 4 years. I'm the first person she's ever had a relationship with because her parents were strict in high school. Our parents are religious and don't believe in sex before marriage. And while I don't really care, she's very close with her parents, so we've been waiting. Now that she's graduated, I was planning on proposing within the next few months. I had a ring picked out and everything. I was head over heels for this girl. That all changed last night. Or last weekend, really. Katie has had a male best friend since high school that her parents never liked because he claimed to be gay. Let's call him Liam. She was excited to be going to the same college as him because it meant they could hang out as much as they wanted. I've never been a big fan of the male best friend thing, but he's gay, so whatever. Except 2 years ago, he came out as bisexual. I never really liked the vibes when he was around her, so I asked Katie to stop hanging out with him alone. She accused me of not being supportive of him and trying to control her, just like her parents. I told her it was her choice if she wanted to keep seeing him alone, but I wouldn't be sticking around for it. It was the biggest problem we'd ever had in our relationship, but we worked through it. The compromise was that Liam and his boyfriend could hang out with me and my girlfriend together, as couples, but never alone. I never wanted to cut her off from her friends. With this stipulation, however, the 4 of us only got together twice before Liam ended up transferring to a different college over the summer. My girlfriend stayed in contact with them over Discord, stayed friends with both of them when they broke up, and formed a gaming server with them and some of their other friends. Most of these friends were men, but she assured me nothing funny was going on. Most of them even had girlfriends, she said. Last weekend was Liam's birthday party, and he invited her. Katie wanted to talk to me about it first to make sure I was okay with it. She said she wanted to go since she hadn't seen him in 2 years, and it was only a 2-hour drive away. A bunch of her friends from the Discord server that she had never met in person before were going to be there, women included, and Liam's girlfriend would be there too. Since I had a weekend trip planned, leaving Friday, returning Sunday, I unfortunately wouldn't be able to go with her, but I told Katie I trusted her and had no problems with her going to see her friends. The problem started Saturday night. She texted me in the morning when she was leaving for the party. She texted me when she got there, and she texted me a couple times throughout a check-in. Katie told me that she had planned on driving back around 9 or 10, but it was around that time that the text messages stopped. I assumed she was just having a good time and didn't want to seem controlling, so I didn't bother her. I did stay up to watch her location and make sure she got home, though, and she did around 2 a.m. It was unusual, but I trusted her and didn't want to make any assumptions. I would call her in the morning and she would explain that she just got carried away having fun with her friends, I thought. I called her Sunday morning and she didn't answer. She texted back a few minutes that she had been sleeping, had a hangover, and wasn't feeling well. That was very strange because Katie doesn't drink. I told her to drink lots of water and that I hoped she felt better and got on my flight home. When I arrived at my apartment, I found her curled up in my bed in the dark. She has a key to my apartment, but hardly ever needs it because usually I'm with her to do the unlocking. I asked her why she hadn't stayed at her apartment to rest up, but she didn't say anything. Since then, the entire week, she has been saying she's not feeling well and has not left my room. She's taken off work, and I've been going home on my lunch breaks to make sure she was eating. I was worried about her, but in the back of my mind, I was also suspicious about what had happened at the party over the weekend. Late last night, Katie woke me up from the couch sobbing. It was the first time she had left my room since I'd gotten home, other than to use the bathroom. I consoled her until she had calmed down enough to be coherent and asked her what was wrong. She told me she had done something horrible. She told me Saturday night she had somehow gotten really drunk on accident, and Liam offered to drive her home. 3 of her friends from the gaming server on Discord got in a second car to follow them, to take Liam back home after they got to Katie's apartment. They helped her up the stairs and into her apartment. Then, she said she had sex with them. All of them. All 4 men. Katie said she doesn't remember most of it, that she was really out of it and didn't know what was going on. She said she's been sick ever since trying to figure out how to tell me because she loves me so much and didn't want to hurt me. Didn't want to hurt me, but gave away her virginity that she was supposedly saving for marriage to 4 other men, instead of the man who spent the past 4 years caring for her. She said she wanted to tell me right when I got back, which is why I found her in my apartment, but she couldn't bring herself to because she didn't want to lose me. She begged me not to break up with her. I told her I needed some time to myself to think. She then begged me not to make her go back to her apartment. I didn't feel like fighting, so I just told her she could go back into my room. I could hear her crying intermittently all night. I have to admit, I was brought to tears myself. I can't believe how she would throw away our whole relationship, the 4 years we've built together, over one party. I was going to propose soon. I trusted her, and now it's broken. I'm at work, and I haven't been able to focus all day. Part of me wants to tell her to get out the second I get home, if she's still there, and that I never want to see again. Part of me wants to talk to her more and see if there's anything left to salvage. I can't tell which side is more unreasonable. How do I navigate this? Update. I have heard everyone and am on the way home to God check on her. For those telling me to break up with her, even if it turns out not to have been rape, I could never forgive myself if it was, and I left her to deal with it on her own. Asterisk, asterisk.